to African Development Bank President Dr. Akinwumi Adesina. What Africa does with agriculture is not only important for Africa, it will shape the future of food in the world. Hello and welcome to Agro on TV. My name is Faith Esonwere. As usual, our segments are set to enlighten you on agriculture, which is a key sector of Nigeria's economy. Be a part of the show by sending your comments and suggestions to our social media platforms showing on your screen. Agro on TV will be right back. Stay with us. World richest man Bill Gates has called on Africans to unlock the potentials in his agricultural sector. This is said at the annual meeting of the African Development Bank in Gujarat State, India. Details of this and other stories make up the post.
In the sports arena, India cannot compete with Africa in long distance running. But I can assure you that India will always stand with you, shoulder to shoulder, supporting you in the long and difficult race for a better future. Excellencies and ladies and gentlemen, I now have a great pleasure in officially declaring the annual meetings of the Board of Governors of the African Development Bank Group open. Thank you.
That was the official declaration of the 52nd annual meeting of the Africa Development Bank held in Gujarat State, India. The opening ceremony, which was graced by Presidents of the Republic of Benin, Senegal, Kenya, Vice President of Cote d'Ivoire, as well as the Chairperson of the Africa Union Commission, ably represented, had in attendance over 3,000 participants. Addressing the audience, the world's richest man and co-chairman of Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Mr. Bill Gates, through a teleconferencing, called on Africans to unlock the potentials in agriculture.
Similarly, agriculture has the potential to be a huge driver of prosperity. Today, Africa spends $50 billion a year on food imports. Yet with existing innovations, a smallholder farmer could double her yields. Each goal needs resources, and I know bank leadership is looking at ways to maximize every dollar and to focus on areas where it's hardest getting financing from other sources. This meeting is a great opportunity to take this discussion forward.
The event themed Transforming Agriculture for Wealth Creation in Africa also calls for greater cooperation between the bank and India to help drive Africa's transformation, especially amongst the youth.
The youths are not only the future of Africa, but they are also the present of Africa. Therefore, we must make their present prosperous and their future even brighter, much brighter. Africa's youth population will rise from 434 million to 840 million by 2050, and Africa will become the youngest region of the world. 38 out of the 40 countries that will be the youngest in the world will be in Africa. The median age of Africans will be 25 by that time. This is a huge demographic asset, which, if well tapped and well trained, will make Africa the talent center of the future.
The statistics of post-harvest losses in Nigeria is becoming alarming and of great concern to major actors in the subsector. Owing to this, the Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition, under its Post-Harvest Loss Alliance for Nutrition Nigeria, has organized a creating workshop to sensitize stakeholders. Speaking on the essence of the event, one of the organizers, Dr. Augustine Okorowa, emphasized the need for the use of plastic crates to avert huge losses. In a related development, the Lagos State Ministry of Agriculture has disclosed plans to enlighten market traders on the use of appropriate storage and packaging facilities using plastic crates in transporting perishable goods. The Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, Dr. Olayiwole Onasoya, made this known at a stakeholders forum on capacity building for the crate project.
Specific objective was to explore what business opportunities exist in the creating business using plastic waste, returnable plastic, what models of leasing, lending or ownership that can develop from using returnable plastic waste. And we also look at how that will impact on the current basket makers and dealers, and how can we go around that. How can we move forward with the use of plastic waste to reduce post-harvest losses and improve nutrition by making sure that the produce that could have been lost because of the use of proper crating and packaging, we save part of that for the table.
The Lagos State government, albeit the Lagos State Ministry of Agriculture, we have a lot of partners. We have the World Bank as one of our partners. We have the National Fund for Agric Development. We also partner with the federal government issues that concern the state and the private sector. When you look at it, we are one of the foremost states attracting the private sector what we do. And in this project we are talking about, the private sector will play a major role. The banks, development banks, and even the market people, as well as even non-governmental organizations. You can see that we have GAIN here, we have GEMS 4 here. So the partnership issue is not a problem because we are used to that. We have been working with a lot of partners, multilateral, federal government, agencies.
The forum was graced by representatives from various financial institutions, as well as the National Union of Road Transport Workers, the Group Intervention Manager Agribusiness GEMS 4 project, amongst others.
To be very candid, I feel fulfilled and accomplished because it's like seeing a project of 5 years coming to reality. I've been on this matter for the last 5 years, ensuring that from the north to south, the need to switch from raffia baskets to plastic bits is made very, very important. And now that the market end of this whole supply chain is Lagos State government, I decided to take it up and promote it strongly. For us in our M4P approach, that is the beginning of systemic change where an old system is gradually going to give way to a new one. And that is the kind of change that we need.
Smallholder farmers should be sensitized in order to ensure effective food production in the country. On Talk Time, join me in this conversation with Atsuko Toda, the Director of Agric Finance and Rural Development Department of Africa Development Bank Group.
Are you part of the next generation of Nigerians determined to rescue the dwindling economy? Is your company directly or indirectly involved in agro-related business? Welcome to Agro Nigeria, where your products and services matter to us. Advertise with us on our television program, Agro on TV, as well as our exclusively focused print and veteran news magazine with over 89.9 million combined audiences. Agro Nigeria is the pioneer media brand that specializes in agricultural sector-specific reportage in Nigeria. Over the decade, through its parent company, Video Vision Limited, we have succeeded in promoting Nigeria's agricultural sector as a viable revenue earner and building a sizable customer base by so doing. For advert placement, management of agricultural projects and events, contact us at Worola House, 90 Allen Avenue, Ikeja, Lagos, or call 0809 778 2665. Agro Nigeria, Nigeria's agricultural mouthpiece.
I'm glad to have you on Talk Time, and I have a very special guest with me here today. So I'm going to allow her to introduce herself, basically. I'm going to give her that honor to tell us who she is and, of course, what she does. All right, so good to have you on the program, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much. My name is Atsuko Toda. I'm working as Director, Department of Ag Finance and Rural Development in the African Development Bank.
Good to have you once again. Okay, basically, how would you evaluate the success of the homegrown school feeding program generally?
Generally, it's been tested and tried in a number of countries around the world. We've seen cases from the African continent as well as the South American continent, Brazil, India. So in general, where they've taken a phased approach and they've been able to link it to local production, it has proven to be successful.
Okay, that's great. Okay, now what are some of the countries that you can say have witnessed, have actually witnessed more success than others when it comes to the homegrown school feeding program?
I think where countries have managed, as I was saying, to link production, local production, to really, number one, to capacitate the farmers, to sensitize the smallholder farmers, to ensure that they're working on local production, number one. Number two, instituting very simple procurement procedures. That's extremely important. Three, having very clear implementation arrangements, because it is a value chain approach. It is basically creating markets for local production where the country has been able to really look at the value chains and to involve the communities around the schools, so that really the communities feel that they own this, that the menu, that the cooks, they're getting products from the local communities. It has proven to be successful. And finally, the menus have to be very flexible, so that we're looking at produce which comes locally, and also we're looking at the seasonality of the products.
Okay, basically, in the long term, what actually do you aim to achieve with the homegrown school feeding program?
I think there's triple objectives. Number one, you're trying to get the children to go to school. Number two, you're trying to improve the nutrition. And number three, you're trying to promote local production. Those are really the triple objectives around the homegrown school feeding program. And that's why it's so important that in Nigeria we can get this right.
To get it right. So I talk about Nigeria getting it right. What do you think we should do here to actually make sure that this program is a success in Nigeria?
I think this has been tested and tried before in Nigeria. In 2004, under the Universal Basic Education, this has been tried. It was supposed to be piloted in 13 states of Nigeria. It continued to be operational in Osun State. So it's not like it's the first time that this has happened. And actually, they said in the states where they had the program, farmers were enjoying it, that it was actually promoting local production. I think what we need to do to get it right this time is really, number one, we know that this time it is a 13-month program by the government under the vice presidency. Number one, we need to make sure we're thinking about the exit. We're thinking about sustainability. What does happen after those 13 months, number one. Number two, we have to try to engage the private sector. We need to get farmers to understand what the value chain is and what are those private sector services that can be provided. And I think number three, we have to see that states start owning this exercise, because the national governments, of course, can provide the funding in the initial stages, but to really see the impact of the program be sustainable, the state governments have to totally buy in and make sure that the implementation arrangements at the state level are very clear.
That's very good. Now, what are some of the challenges that have been encountered in implementing the homegrown school feeding program?
I think the biggest challenges in terms of trying to meet the triple objectives that we were talking about earlier is that sometimes some farmers don't know about the program. So actually, with a lot of government programs, because government has the best intentions, a lot of governments, a lot of times the smallholder producers, they don't know about the program. That's one big challenge. Number two, the productivity of smallholder farmers is very low. So unless we can actually increase their productivity in a phased approach, actually the market prices will increase because they can't access that food locally. Another problem is procurement from a number of smallholder farmers is difficult because you have to bulk it. So I think that's another problem. And of course, the issue of funding, which has to be made sustainable, is another challenge.
So how have you been able to, try to curtail some of these challenges so as to be able to still deliver in the program?
What I understand is that the government has already started this homegrown school feeding program in 7 states, and it's going to be rolled out in other states. But what I understand is that each of the states is doing different innovative, flexible things to try to make sure it works within their context. So I think the innovation, the flexibility that is being carried out by the different states is very important.
Okay. Now, on the issue of communication, how do you really intend to reach out to, especially those in rural areas who do not maybe have access to information about this program? How do you intend to reach out to them so as to carry them along, in this program?
Well, I think the government has put in place a communication strategy to make sure that more people can be aware of the benefits of this program.
Okay, now, Feed Nigeria Summit, of course, you talked about the homegrown school fever in need. So how do you think this summit will aid, or support basically this program? And also, how do you think it could also aid agricultural development in the country?
For us at the African Development Bank, these type of summits, these type of conferences are extremely important because you get a range of stakeholders, including the youth, including farmers, including the private sector, including development partners, to come around the table to discuss, for example, this new policy around homegrown school feeding and how it can link to value chains, local production. So for us, this type of summit is something that we should be having in different countries around Africa.
All right, so anything you want to say to be words of encouragement out there, final words?
Well, the last words I'd really like to say is that we are very happy that the Feed Nigeria Summit has brought a lot more awareness around the homeschool feeding program. We're very grateful that the organizers have organized this event around really making people understand value chains.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you. All right, that's much you can take on Talk Time. Agro TV continues. Stay with us. Measures to get the youth involved in agriculture is fast spreading across the country. My guest today on Agro Style is Bawa Benjamin, an instructor of the NYSC Skill Acquisition and Entrepreneurship Development. His plans to involve more youth into agriculture are his priority. Take a look.
My name is Bawa Benjamin. I studied chemistry at Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, and I'm into the business of agriculture and also the facilitator for Young Man Africa. I'm working on project Save Our Nation, and Save Our Nation is a project that is going to engage youth into agriculture. Now we want to get youth that are interested in farming, and we are getting 100 hectares of land in every state that we want to give out to youth. And we are working with the youth community leaders and local government chairmen so that they can help us get these lands. Now once we get these lands, we are going to put the youths now, we allocate them to 1 hectare each, and we are going to give them farming techniques from NCRI, National Civil Research Institute. Presently we are working in Niger State, to be precise, in Bida, and we intend that this project should kick off as soon as the rainy season begins. Now, about getting the lands, I said we are working with youth community leaders because you realize that there's a huge, vast land. If you look around different states, you see that there is land that cannot be cultivated. I think the problem we are having in Nigeria is the interest, getting the youth interested in farming. That's the major problem that we are having. But now, with the project Save Our Nation, we are getting the interest of youths in farming, and a lot of youths are responding. A lot of youths have been calling me, asking me, how can I invest into, how can I be part of this project? And I believe there is a lot of land. Now, about getting the funding, you realize that the government has allocated and invested a whole lot into the business of agriculture, and there are other international organizations that are willing to fund projects of interested youth. Now we have IFAD, International Fund for Agricultural Development, have been doing a very great job by funding agricultural projects. And what we do is we link these youths up to these organizations, and these organizations are ready because the government is ready in increasing the productivity of agriculture. So we are working with all these organizations to get funding for our projects. I have been involved in training youth corps members under the skill acquisition and entrepreneurship development, and right now I'm still training volunteers. We are recruiting volunteers from the NYSC that are interested in farming, most especially rice farming. We are recruiting at least 100 from every rice farming state in the Federation. Even if if you can relocate to anywhere that our project is going on, you can easily just come and we can absorb you into our project. We are recruiting about 100. That is what our target for 2017 farming season from each rice farming state. And we intend that this is going to increase the youth participation in agriculture. I want to tell youth to stay focused. What I mean by stay focused, to know exactly what you want. Stay focused on your dreams and keep on pursuing it. And I want them to know that agriculture is gone are the days when you say agriculture is for the old people in the farm. Agriculture is more interesting right now. With the government plans for agriculture, I encourage every young person to engage in agriculture, because as our former president said, Olusegun Obasanjo, agriculture is now the new oil. So if you want to make a headway, just involve yourself in agriculture.
The return of Tuta Absoluta, popularly called tomato Ebola in Nigeria, is a problem that calls for major actions in order to avert scarcity of the food product. The report has it that price of tomato is shooting up already as a result of the disease. What can be done to avoid this hike? This is what Nigerians have to say on Street Vibes.
Instead, the government to work hard in collaborating with some different countries, just to work on it to find the everlasting solutions to the problem, to the challenges and problems that they are facing. Just nothing has been. They have do something more, but there are still has it. We have it because it is affecting a lot of, including me that I'm talking with you, because my farm just that too has automatically nothing I haven't get from the farm, because just that too insect, that too Ebola tomato that they are talking about, it is going to be penetrate inside the sand and cut the root of the tomatoes. When you wake up in the morning, you will see the whole farm just is shrink. Therefore, that is why nothing has been done. And the second one is going to be enter the fruit. It is going to be enter the fruit, just and make a whole of it. When it make a whole of it, then the moment just we fry it, the water and seed is coming out. Therefore, it is going to be cracked at the fruit. At the end, nothing has been getting at the farm.
To my own opinion, I believe the best thing for the government to do is to reach out to those farmers, because most of the tomatoes we sell here in the West come from the north. So maybe they should reach to the farmers, maybe get them pesticides they will use to treat those Ebola pest that is stopping them over there. Because as at last year, this increase in the price of tomatoes starts as at last year, to my own opinion. But over time, during this period, tomatoes always goes up, the price always goes up due to some factors like heat, the rainfall, because rain affects it. Tomato doesn't need much water. That is why it is grown in the north, because there is no much rain in the north. You know, people try to plant tomatoes in the west, but it doesn't grow due to rainfall. There's much rainfall in the west than that of the north. So it grows in the north more than the west or other parts of the country.
By this time last year, we are buying tomato 35,000, 40,000. But now it reduced a little bit because we have been seeing another tomatoes like Yoruba own and the Ajashe own is in the market. That is the reason why the power of the Hausas is reducing on this price they are giving to us. Because on Saturday, we bought this tomato 25,000 naira. While the Ajashe own, they are selling it at the rate of 9,000. So people prefer to go and buy that 9,000 than Mala because it's affordable for us to buy.
There are different strategies that the government should take and adopt. One of the measures that government is expected to take is that, first of all, the government should try to encourage the farmer that they shall use the hybrid seed. That is, they shall look for a qualitative seed from the KADPs or from the non-agro dealers. This is the first step that government should take. Government should encourage the farmers to buy the hybrid seed. This is the first stage. Then the second stage is that government should try to mobilize farmers through sensitizations or meeting or campaigning against Tuta Absoluta.
Beyond the talking, farmers should be shown practical ways of being better at what they do. This brings us to the end of today's episode. Many thanks for watching. If you missed any part of the show, log on to Agro Nigeria TV on YouTube, as each episode of Agro on TV is available for your view. Send your comments and suggestions to our social media platforms and they will be showcased on the program. You can also advertise your products and services on this show, as well as contact us for the management of agricultural projects and events. Till I come your way again next week, I remain Faith as think growth, think agriculture. Bye for now.